In Sri Lanka, the country's new president has been officially sworn in. Anura Kumara Dissanayake, a left-wing anti-corruption candidate, said his victory belonged to all Sri Lankans and promised a fresh start. The poll, which went to a second round for the first time in Sri Lanka's history, has been described as one of the closest races ever. Well, in his first comments after his election win, the president said that he would put the demands of the Sri Lankan people first.
There was a need for a government with a mandate from the people if you want to rescue the country from the crisis. We know in the recent past the mandate was distorted. The distortion of the people's mandate affected the parliament and other institutions beyond that. The people's mandate that is needed to take this country forward is being established. That was the main point of the presidential election, and I think the general election should be held immediately after.
Southeast Asia correspondent Samra Hussein is following developments in Colombo. She explains how big a shift this win is for politics in the region.
I'm outside Sri Lanka's Election Commission offices, and this is where they announce the next president of Sri Lanka, Anura Kumara Dissanayake. He is a leftist Marxist candidate, although he's really moved away from some of the more extreme messaging that he used when he first came onto the political scene, and has now become the voice of the working class here in Sri Lanka. He very much campaigned on being someone who can rebuild the country's economy after that crushing economic crisis 2 years ago. He's a candidate that is not part of the usual Sri Lankan political dynasty and very much seen as a candidate of change. This election has really been marked with a lot of firsts. This is the first time that you're seeing an election in Sri Lanka not being fought on ethnic and religious lines, but it was all about the economy. This is also the first time that we're seeing a peaceful election, that past elections in Sri Lanka have been marred by violence. Now that AKD has won the election, now he has the arduous task of actually making good on his promises, not only to rebuild the country's economy, but also rebuild the trust in people in government.
Samra Hussein in Colombo.